I'll show you. Thank you.
With that? Huh? Wow. Gets more impressive every minute.
Well, must be imported from Turkey.
I think.
I'm not imported.
There's a sweet table here. I know. It's okay. Where is it? I know, but Siyum.
It ends with this. Rashi says, Mishnah Ubraisa Halacha L'Moshe Sinai. We want to put together over here the Mishnah and the Halacha L'Moshe Sinai before, and this Braisa, so that we have what comprises really Torah Shabbat Peh. And that's how we're Messiah Shas. With Mishnah Braisa Halacha L'Moshe Sinai. We're Messiah Shas with Al Tikri Halichos. What does it mean, Al Tikri Halichos? Halichos means people go, people come, and they go in this world, and there's all kinds of news, and this one went here, and this one went there. The Gemara is saying, we have to know there's no such thing as going and coming stam in this world. Every going and coming that is based on of a yid. Al Tekri Halichos. Don't be nispal and don't put too much effort to analyze and to scrutinize the halichos olam. What's important to us is the halacha, that these halichos have to be governed by. That's how Shas ends. Hadron alach tinoikis, slichol mesechtes nida. Hadron alach tinoikis, slichol mesechtes nida. Hadron alach tinoikis, slichol mesechtes nida. Hadron alach mesechtes nida. Hadron alach. Hadron alach kol HASHAS. Hadron alach. Is there alach of Ruben Kikula? Right? Hadron alach mesechtes nida v'kol HASHAS. Kol HASHAS kula, say. Hadron alach. Daitin alach mesechtes nida. Daitin alach kol HASHAS kula. Daitin alach. Loi nisnashem minach mesechtes nida v'kol HASHAS kula. Loi nisnashem minach. Loi ba'alma deim. Loi ba'alma de'asi. Hadron alach mesechtes nida v'kol HASHAS kula. Hadron alach. Daitin alach mesechtes nida v'kol HASHAS kula. Daitin alach. Loi nisnashem minach mesechtes nida v'kol HASHAS nashi v'kol ba'alma deim. Loi ba'alma de'asi. Hadron alach mesechtes nida v'kol HASHAS. Daitin alach mesechtes nida. Daitin alach mesechtes nida. Kol HASHAS, voices Nashim, Loi Ba'alma Dein, Loi B'Alma Dasi. Yehi Ratzoi Milfanecha, Adinoi Eliheinu, Elihei Aviseinu, Shetehei Toirosko Naseinu B'Olam Hazeh, Uthei imanu lo'olam haba. Chanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achoy bar Papa, Abba Mori bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rochesh bar Papa, Surcha bar Papa, Adar bar Papa, Doru bar Papa, Harev no adi no yali heinu. Harev no adi no yali heinu is divrei seiroscha bethinu. With Fiois Amcha basis Rob, and Nia Kulonu, Anachnu B'Tzetzoenu, Tzetzoi Amcha basis Royal, Kulonu Yoide Shmecho, Veloim De Sarasecha, Me Oivai Techakmeni Mitzvaisecha, Ki Oilom Hili, Hili Bi Samim B'Chukecha, Leman Li Evoish, Oilom Li Eshkach B'Chudecha, Kivom Chisani, Baruch atah Adonai lamdeni chukecha, amen, 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 celebrate. Moedim anachnu lefanecha Adonai leheinu le'eveseinu. Shesamta chelkeinu miyoshvei beis hamedrash, lesamta chelkeinu miyoshvei kronos. She'onu mashkimim v'hei mashkimim. Onu mashkimim l'divrei Torah, v'hei mashkimim l'dvorim b'teilim. Onu amelim v'hei amelim, onu amelim l'kabel sofer. V'heim amelim v'einim mekablim socher. Anu rotzim v'heim rotzim. Anu rotzim l'chai olam haba. V'heim rotzim l'ver shachas. Shenemar v'ata l'him teridei l'ver shachas. Anshe domim umir lo yechzu yimeim. V'ani eftach boch. Yirotzoim nufanecha adinoi elehai. Kishem she'azartani. L'sayim mesechtes nida l'sayim HASHAS. Cain, Ta'azreini, Lahaskil, Mesechtes, Svarim Acherim, L'Saimon, Lilmoid, L'Lamed, Lishma, V'Lasois, L'Kayim es Kol Divrei Salma Teresecha B'Avo, L'Schus, Kol HaTanoim V'Amoyroim Salmidei Chachamim, Yamoy Li L'Zari, Shloi Tomish HaTorah Mipi, Umipi Zera Zari, Ad oilom, v'yiskayim bi b'salechecha tancha oisach, v'shochvecha tishmar alecha, v'hekitzoisa hi sisichecha, ki bi yirbu yamecha v'yasifu l'cha shno yiskayim, oirech yomim b'yamina b'smoila oisha v'chavay, Adonai oiz lama yitein, Adonai yivarech es amoy v'ashaloy.
Lasava, Polkana, the Ishmael, Lastra, Lechut Chiberichu, Machuse, Bikorev, Yatzmach, Bokorev, Bikorev, Lishita, Yechoin, Biamichoin, Behind the whole basis so well. Love is man Korev, Iruame.
Amen, straight up,
Yes, Barak, Fish the Bach, this word is among the Yusnase. Yes, a dog is slave as all made a good shop, Riku. Layla, Mikober Hasabishi was saw, Tishpasavan Echamasa, and around the Alma, the Rome. How you swell, Rabbadan, about Tommy Day on, the whole Tommy Day, Tommy Day on, the Commandus can be rice, and you saw a damn deep color Sarvasar. You hail on, Punish on the Rabba, Hina, the Hist of Brackman, the kind of Rike. Daniel Viche, for economic Kadama, in the Vishmaya, the Arabic Rome. The Haysh from the Rabbi, in Shemaya, of a Haim to Malay. Call you so well, Rock and gas is swimming, and I'll call you so well.
Mazel Tov.
Okay, Tyler, take your seats. This is only the beginning of Shai Bani. It's going to be much still the beginning of Shai.
Next. I'm wondering if I can put in the notes.
Speaking about Christmas, the first thing, it's based on the approximate favorite. What time do we start? Misha Shahakohanim Nichnasim Lecha Betumasan. From the time Kohanim are allowed after a Kohen has been Tameh and then he toivel during the day, so he has to wait till it's dark at night. He has to wait till Tzesa Kachavim. So that's the shiur when you say Krishma. And the Gemara says already that the reason why it's told to us in this way is that we should learn the extra chiddush about when the Kohanim start the Truma, and also the Lashon Nichnasim. I saw in the parish of the Kati here, he says, why did it say Nasim? Why did it just say Bishar that you could eat Truma? Because Nasim is mashma that they are coming bezrizas. They've been waiting to do the mitzvah of eating Truma. And so therefore they come bezrizas to do it as soon as they can. And we should learn also by Krishma that we should try to do the mitzvah bezrizas as soon as the Zman comes. So that's the starting time. And when is the finishing time? So there's three shitas, ad soif hashmer rishona, Divrei Rabbi Eliezer, according to Rabbi Eliezer, until the end of the first third of the night, which would, in daylight savings time, that would probably be, depending on what time of the year, would be approximately right now around 11 o'clock. Ad chatzos, the shiur would be until chatzos. So Rabbi Eliezer holds that the reason is because the Torah says that this goes by the zman shtiva when most people, right people, go to sleep, when they start going to sleep. Chachamim say ad chatzos, that the zman is till chatzos from Gamliel lemer ad sheyalu amar hashachar, all the way till the next morning. From Gamliel's reason is because he learns that shachlecha doesn't mean when you go to sleep; it means during the whole time that people sleep, which is during the whole night. And the Chachamim, we'll see in a minute, they really hold also like Rabbi Gamliel that Zman is really the whole night. The only thing is they make a gzeira that we're afraid if you give them the whole night, then people are going to get sleepy, they'll forget, and they might miss it. So that's where they want the Zman to stop at Chatzos. So the sons of Gamliel came home late from a chasana, and they had missed the Zman Krishma, they had missed the Chatzos. So they said to Gamliel, what should we do? They said to their father, like Kavino Eshma, we did yet read Krishma. So he told them, even though you missed Chatzos, because they had a suffix. They had a suffix. They were wondering whether when the Chacham said at Chatzos, was it because of Zman Shtiva, time you go to sleep, but they held that that goes to Chatzos, or their suffix was maybe it's Taka like Gamliel that it goes all the way to Amud Yomi, it made Xera. So Gamliel is answering him, it was just because of Xera, and therefore even if you pass on Chacham and B'diavad, you could say all Amud Yomi didn't yet come up till Chayab Matan L'Kreis, you should still say Krishma. The Mishnah goes on. So Rabbi Gamliel told his sons, whenever you find that the Chachamim say has something at night, a mitzvah at night is still chatzos. Really, mitzvah is not shiur at Amashachar. The mitzvah is really b'diavad until Amud Yomi, but just they made a takana to say till chatzos, so you shouldn't forget. And then there's another example of something which goes a whole night. Hector chalavim ve'vorim, the mitzvah by karbonis, to burn the chaylev and the limbs from the karbonis, so that the mitzvah is taka all the way till Amud Shachar. According to Rashi, this does not have a gzeira till to stop by chatzos. Although the Rambam God holds it is also till chatzos. And the same thing, those karbonos that are supposed to only be read for eaten for one day, also mitzvah and Amud Shachar. So imk, the mitzvah is also till Amud Shachar. Imk and lama chatzos. So why did the Chacham say by these mitzvahs to stop by chatzos? So that people should not get drowsy at night and forget. So I just want to, there's been many speeches here, but I just wanted to say that I have to express a hakaras tov to our Rebbe of 17 years, Reb Boruch Rov Shlita, who's also been the Rebbe of many of my sons. Come rain or shine, all the years he was there, and he was mechazik all of us, whether they were in the shiur, whether they were learning b'chaburah, he was mechazik everybody. And I have to give a special hakaras tov for the Sunday shiur, how much he packed in a very short time, and made sure, tried to make sure that everybody would come, and also, even though it wasn't part of this program, the yontif shiur that he says in shul, so he should be gebenched with koyach to arichas yom to continue this master and another master. Also, I want to wish a hakaras tov to the Achsanya here, to Reb Bentzy and his Rebbetzin, who were here. This originally was from Hershel Polter, be mamshich their hakodesh, and they should be zocheh to make many simchas. Amen. Thank you. How do you do this?
Right, Welcome to guests. I'd like to welcome one and all to the occasion. Little small. I feel like I'm at the U.S. Open. I'd like again to welcome everyone, one and all. On behalf of the Messiahim, we're all doing this together. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Siyum HASHAS tonight. Before I forget, I just wanted to thank the person I report to, my wife, who insisted when we spoke, the idea of the Siyum HASHAS came up a week or two ago. I told her we're probably going to do the Siyum HASHAS, we're going to do it in shul. And she insisted that it be done in the house. And Kachava, of course, I listened. I didn't have much of a choice. I'm a good husband. And I wanted to thank her for doing such a good job. I wanted to thank Carmen and Ari and George, Cindy and Alicia, and all the staff, throwing this scene together. Mitzvah Hashem, George, we should have many simchas together in the future in this home.
Daddy's making Siyum sauce also. Everybody started.
So this Siyum, as you know, is a very unique occasion because it's taken us all of 17 and a half years to arrive. That's a very long gestation period. Had I been born and gone to high school, I would have graduated before this Siyum took place. If I wouldn't have flunked the way I did in high school. And Baruch Hashem, through this time, our families have grown, our homes have grown, mine just a little. We've grown, Baruch Hashem, and we've gone through a period of time that we've been gebenched by the Rebbeinu Shalom. So I want to take this point in time to Mazel Tov, to give Shevach Vaydah to the Rebbeinu Shalom for taking us through these 17 and a half years, Gesundheit, to allow us to be Zeicha to the growth, again, of our families, to be sharing in Simchas with one another. And I would say that particularly as it relates to Amud Yomi, and particularly as it relates to our Amud Yomi, which took a little bit longer, we've had the schutz now to learn 5,422 amudim. It sounds a little bit better than 2,711 dafim. 5,422 amudim. And in Mitzvah Shem, we should be Zeicha. We started again. Shaya gave the Haskalah. We started again anew. I invite anyone here, around the city, around Canada, around North America, to join us in our new pursuit of the next Siyum HASHAS 17 and a half years from now. And I want you to know that I've already sent in my bid for the next Siyum HASHAS to be in this house. And I know some of you are wondering, we discussed this morning, some of you are going to be wondering 17 and a half years from now, may be difficult to get up the stairs. So what I'm telling you is we planned for that, Baruch Hashem. We have an elevator. And some of the others will complain after dinner, steak, how are we going to eat steak? What's it going to do to our stomach? What's it going to do to our teeth? Don't forget, there's always mashed potatoes. So we're putting in our bid, and we are misfollowed to the Rebbeinu Shalom that he should give us all a richas yomim, tovim, v'shanim, gesundheit, so we should be able to accomplish the goals that we have, all of us. A couple of introductory points that I wish to make. First of all, when I say the word hip, very few of you will think of Harav Baruch Reiss, who may have been cool in high school. I don't know. I wasn't there. He may have been cool in high school. And he is definitely a very hypnotizing speaker when it comes to Divrei Torah and drushes. I say that without hyperbole. But the hip and Reb Boruch's hip somehow is very inextricably bound with tonight's Simcha. And I'll tell you why. It's because about 18 years ago or so, I don't remember exactly what that was, Baruch had hip replacement surgery, and we went to visit him in the hospital. I remember I was there together with my chaburah, Mayor Neustadt, and Baruch said, you know what? We've got to do something for our kehillah. We have to introduce the concept of, you'll excuse me, Torah Lishma for Balabatim. I know it sounds foreign today, Torah Lishma. We have to introduce Torah Lishma for Balabatim. How are we going to do that? Started schmoozing. Said, yeah, you know, this idea of Amud Yomi, to go out the Gazach. I said, Baruch, well, when are you going to do Amud Yomi? When everyone can attend. Well, when can everyone attend? Well, 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe, give or take. Give or take. So I said, but in those days, I was still sleeping. So I said, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I barely turned over. I mean, you know, I'm really not a morning person. I'm barely an evening person, let alone a morning person. But he said, no, we got to be mishtadel. We've got to try. So sure enough, this idea gathered steam, starting a program in the morning, Amud Yomi, that will lead to Siyum HASHAS. We had no dreams then of being Messiah Shas. We'll go weiter, Masechta by Masechta. And Baruch Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom bestowed his kindness upon us, and here we are. So this is really, you know, Torah's introduction, but I have one very important point I wanted to make as an introduction. So I held out the best for last. The introduction. So we all know the Gemara Tzvi Torah Tchilasar v'Chesed v'Seifer v'Chesed, and I want to say that much of this program, the Amud Yomi program in the Agudah, is steeped in Chesed, and I'll tell you why. I think a parsha the Torah says, Syria, somebody who sees the shore of his friend who is lost, Hashay Teshiva, you must return him to his rightful owner. Zok the Evan Ezra, Afilu ata yaitza l'milchama. You're going out to war. You see a shore lost, you must return him. What's pshat? I'm going out to war. I'm busy with matters of life and death. I can easily say, I don't see the shore. It's up to Torah, no. You're mechuyev to be sensitive enough to see, even b'shas mechama, that there's a shore missing an owner. You look at him, you find his owner, you're mekayim the mitzvah. Many years ago, I don't know how many years ago exactly, there was a younger bacher at that time in town. His name was Hershel Polter. Hershel lived a very, very sad life. He lived here in Baker's Hospital, and he really had no life. And he could not move, he could not talk, he could not feed himself. And some member of, I believe it was a member of his class, looked him up. He went looking for Reb Hershel, and he found him in the hospital, and he said, Hashay Teshivim, how can we help bring Reb Hershel back to life? So he enlisted a few of the chevra in the shul, and we started visiting him. The first time I came to him, literally he could not lift his head. He did not eat, he did not talk. But through a ma'aser chesed, he began to wake up. He came alive. He began talking. He began eating. He began moving. He began wheeling his wheelchair to the point where not long thereafter, he started coming to shul, and he started coming to many of us, to our homes on Shabbos. It was an amazing Tchias HaMesim. But there's another part to the story. And this other part to the story is prefaced. We had many years ago a newsletter, a Torah letter put together by Noshim Tzidkanyos. You should have a full shalema. And at that time, it was Zichron Nishmas of Hershel. I said something, I wrote something. So please forgive me, those of you who've read it and will remember it. Please forgive me for saying it again. Just very quickly, by Yisroi, the Torah says, Yisroi heard all the stories of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Pasach Misafer Moshe l'chaisnai. Moshe tells over all these stories to Yisroi, all over again. Why? Not only that, Rashi says, why did he tell it to him? Limshach liboy l'karva l'Torah. He wanted to be Moshe Yisroi to Torah. So the obvious question is, what do you mean? But Yishma Yisroi, Yisroi heard all the stories. What did Moshe Rabbeinu accomplish by being Misafer? So very beautiful. Yonis ben Azil says that what Yisroi did was he kissed him, he was Magayer him, he brought him to the base medrash. V'sani Moshe, V'sani is a lashon libra Torah. He got to Levincha, Zok the Targum, V'sani. He taught him Torah. The story now became libra Torah. It was Havanas Dover Mitach Dover. It was Pilpul B'chachma. And once it became Torah, Moshe Chasalev, Mekarev L'Torah, because it's libra Torah. Hershel Olav Shalom started learning. And he started learning more. And he started learning to the point where he got up 4 a.m. in the morning to have himself dressed and prepared for the wheel trans who would take him to Kollel Dirshu at 401 in Young Street to be there 6 a.m. Day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out. And he waxed ice. He steig. He harvard, weiter and weiter. He started buying svarim. When you would walk into his room, constantly, all you would hear on his phone are shiur. He steig gewaldig until the Rebbeinu Shalom said, Adkan, I'm taking Hershel back. And that occurred the year that this Kollel was started. So for Shetzach, for many of us, when the idea was proposed of starting this Kollel, especially early in the morning, where some of us are like still in another world, nevertheless, the lesson that Hershel imparted stood with us, and Baruch Hashem, we were zeicher to start such a program and continue such a program. Many of the people here tonight have been part of this program, and we've completed tonight. Yehi Zichron Baruch. It's now my covet to ask unser Rav Lowy, who's been always not just supportive of any limud Torah in the Beis Medrash, but pushing. He's unser Evan Shleima, Dr. Evan Ezra, without a chaser in the Beis Medrash, the Zeicha, to have my Rav for over 40 years. Now my covet to ask Rav Lowy to say a few words.
Shkoyach Bentzy, and it's the biggest covet for our Besmedrish. To be part of this beautiful, beautiful Siyum of Limud Hayoim of every day, starting in the morning, and there are no words that we could express for Harav Baruch Shlita. Everything he does for the Besmedrish and for Torah in the city and the yeshiva, and the Rebbe Shem should give Marichas Yomim B'Shonim. Lange Jahr and a lange Tag, gesinte Tag. She have nachas from the whole family, from the Shpocha, nachas from the Kehillah, nachas from his Talmidim, and should always see how his harbotzas of Torah is unbelievable. Torah is moiled, and everyone who learns through him, all the chusim should be for him and for Klal Yisrael. And should be zeicha through the Siyum. We should be zeicha to see, it says that all the Midrashim are going to go to Yerushalayim, that are good at with all those who learn, and all those should go up to Yerushalayim, to be some shiur from here, be amen. First, I want to thank Bentzy and his wife for establishing this Kollel. And Bentzy does everything to be able to be, he said, to be married Torah in the Beis Medrash. Hershel Polter is mechayev everybody. It's unbelievable how much Torah he learned after being incapacitated all these years and everything. And here you see what the Gemara in Adar brings down. Reb Kiva said that someone is mabaka choyle is mamish mechayev person, and if he's not mabaka choyle, chas v'shalom fakert. And like Bentzy mentioned, the tchias hamesim that he had from the people in the Kehillah who came to him, that Shaila is allowed to go on Shabbos, not to do. So you go Mechaya person, and at the end, Hershel is Mechayev all of us, and that's why it's beautiful that the Kollel is named after him. His Torah is living through everybody learning. His Torah is living through everybody learning. And Hershel Polter was his to have children, but these are his children. Everyone who learns here, El Toldois, these are his Toldois. All the Torah that's being learned through him, and because of him, is his schus. And it's a big schus to be able to be part of this Siyum, beautiful. Everyone, you saw what Torah is. You make, Abba used to make Yom Tov Rabbanan. This is the biggest Yom Tov Rabbanan. This is the biggest Yom Tov. You come in the morning, Beis Medrash, people learning, you're learning. And remember when it started, the whole Beis Medrash learning. And it's Baruch Hashem, continue till we made the Siyum. And the bunch of Shabbat that we should continue. I mean, that's what the whole purpose of life is. The whole purpose of life is learning Torah Gehem Chayenu. And if you start the day and end the day, Baruch Hashem, and the bunch of help, we're Messiah. Now it should be a new Askola. A new Askola. The Kollel with the Starkheit, it started 7.5 years ago. You start again with the same Askola. And it's, every time you maskal, you call a Siyum always a dedication. When graduation, so it's a dedication. And it's really because you're starting again. Like you started right away, brachas. You saw everyone has on the Sept Kollel B'chol Yom Shumiftach Sheben Olam Haba. That's the last words in Shas. And we say it every day in davening. Every day in davening we say Kollel Lachos. Why, if you Lashon Lachos, do you get Olam Haba? You get Olam Haba any mitzvah. Why Kollel Lachos? The Chofetz Chaim brings down the Indian of learning always halachas, because if you learn halachas, it makes you Talmud Mevel de Maisa. If you learn halachas, it makes you do. Chassid Shesvarim brings down the kedusha of learning, makes that you should be able to do. And Talmud, and that's why Reb Segel made the sin of learning every day to halachas. But if you learn, you do. Talmud Mevel de Maisa, Mevel de Maisa. In Shechnarach in your day, it's gepaskin if a person only has a few minutes a day to learn, he should learn halachas. Halacha, that's the whole tachlis of Torah is to teach us, is to learn halachas. After you finish Gans Shas, the Ramban writes in the Geras, what I learned from this Gemara today. The Ramban says every day you get up, what I learned from this Gemara today. And there's some, things that they printed on Daf Yomi. Every day you take out the halachas that you learn from that day. And every day you learn the halachas. So, but to remember that Iker Talmud Mevel de Maisa. When you learn, is Mevel de Maisa. Today's Daf Yomi is very good past today's Simcha. Reb Akiva, when he came and said, believe everything that we have, if we wouldn't have our choshva women, wives and mothers who push us to learn, who have hanor from us learning, and want the biggest simcha they have when they see the husband learning, the biggest simcha they have when they see their children learning, we wouldn't be here. That's a chazanish paskin. If you have money to make a Beis Yankov or a yeshiva, first make sure you give it Beis Yankov, because without Beis Yankov you wouldn't have. That's what Beis Yankov. If you wouldn't have the Beis Yankov, you wouldn't have the girls. A girl didn't want the husband to learn. There were times in the beginning, I remember in the 50s, 60s when we were growing up, you have to take me out at night. What do you mean? You have to take me out Mazel Shabbos. You have, people. Afterwards, now the sheaf of girls, my husband learns. Baruch Hashem, and it's a different person. So over here, first of all, to thank Reb Boruch's Rebbetzin, the Shiva's Hagon Ramuttel's daughter. I mean, she was a teacher to all my daughters. I mean, they got so much from her. That's what there should be a home. Everything you do. Everything she taught was how a Yiddish shtub should be. And if you have behind every great man, there's a great woman. So behind the great Reb Boruch, there's a great Bentzy Remarked. Also in this home here, everyone knows Mrs. Friedman, what she does. I mean, like everything that Bentzy does, that she pushes and pushes and pushes. Bentzy said he listens. Bentzy, Baruch Hashem, in every way, but he has Baruch Hashem, he was Zeicha to a wife of Bas Talmud Chacham, daughter, in a home. Baruch Hashem, the home was saturated with Torah, and by her, she make a Siyum. It has to be my home. It'd be easier there. This is the biggest simcha by her. The simcha of of the kollel, the simcha of having a kollel in this medrash and learning in this medrash. That's her biggest simcha. So and all the wives who will have the husbands get up in the morning to learn, it's a different type of home. A home where a wife knows my husband gets up in the morning and goes to learn, and it's the women, that are complaining. You're waking me up with your clock. You wake up too early. I still want to sleep. Adar, but they want the husband. I want you to go learn. I want you to go learn. And this is, we have to thank the Yaakovs, we have to thank the girls, the women, our wives and our mothers, what they implanted in us, the HASHAS HaTorah, the love for Torah. I know my mother, always used to sing to us, a Lidl, because there was a Lidl that the Yiddishisten sang that you should never take a Talmud Chacham for a wife, for a husband. A woman should never take a yeshiva bucher. Between the two world wars, there was such a deterioration of Yiddishkeit. That's why the Benos was made, the Yankel was made, everything. That's why Pirchei was made, Agudah was made. It was such a deterioration where, that's why in many yeshivas never people stayed and learned for a long time. Girls did not want husbands to learn. Girls did not want people who learn. And Baruch Hashem, the Eibush helped that now. The more you learn, the more Adar, that's what girls want. That's what wives want. So Shalich Shalchem Shalahi. We have to thank the women of our Adar that if we have our Torah in our Adar, it's the women who push us and not only to push us, they're so the biggest honor they have is when we sit and learn. So we have to thank them, and we have to thank and appreciate the Torah that we learn because of them. And also the main thing we have to remember is that if we're zoichet to such a beautiful, beautiful siyum, a big siyum, and the biggest ishlafi mahalalai, why would we have such a beautiful siyum? People make parties for other things. Torah is the place where you should have the biggest party. The biggest party we should have for Torah. The chashuv's the party we make should be for Torah. What makes you tick? What made my son graduated from college? My daughter graduated college. Is that what you make a party for? Or you make a party for Torah? The party in this home here is a party for Torah. And that's the party of an Agudah. Agudah, Torah is what we want. Torah and Tefillah and Chesed. Baruch Hashem, that's what this medrash stands for. Torah, Tefillah, and Chesed. The Torah that comes out of this medrash, the Tefillah, the Chesed that comes out of this medrash. That's Ezer Torah L'Shmo, Torah Shel Chesed. That's where Baruch should help every one of us here. Zichron, we're in Elul now. Time of Elul. I just will say you have to celebrate a birthday for Shlomo about the Beresh's daughter's house. It's for Shlomo on the first mission in Amosai. When the Ban of Shal Camille came to ask if they should say Krishma or not, so it says their Chasidus. What was their Shaila? The Shaila is they some aufgetan beim Tanzen bei Chasna, Pinta Zoife man kann aufstehen bei Krishma. When they danced by the Chasna, the kavanas that they had and the aliyah they had and the dveikus of Hashem, they came to the same dveikus that you have by Krishna. You have by Krishna. So they came and asked, but that's Ke'ilu. Could we say the real Krishna? We were Yoitza Krishna Ke'ilu, but we want to say the real Krishna. The village down a Ke'ilu de Geid. The village down B'diavad de Geid. The village down like a Tchila de Geid. Like a lot of, places in Elul, you don't make chasanas. In Elul, you don't make chasanas. Bittul Torah. The Chassidische Eilim Adrab, Mazel Elul's Basula, and if it's done the proper way, in the Himmeldige way, and the proper way, chasana can often as I feel if you do it l'shem shemayim and you do everything l'shem shemayim. One thing here, we have this beautiful simcha l'shem shemayim. The Baruch is the helpful taka that every one of us should be able to always partake in such a beautiful simcha. Simcha is a Torah. Ein simcha because simcha is a Torah. That's why the Shach Paskins, the even Abel is allowed to go to a Siyum because a Siyum is simcha is a Torah. It's the biggest simcha that's going to say. So look at simcha of the road. One should always be misamecha simcha zatar. This home should always be full of simcha, and Reb Boruch should always be full of simcha. Everyone who was part of the Siyum should always simcha. Should always be zoicha to HASHAS Gula Yeshua Shana Mala Hashem Kol Mish Asein L'Toiva. We zoicha to see a good gebench to her.
We tried. Russian Pro too.
And for all those on Zoom, we're coming to the eating part of the evening. So I'm going to keep the microphone on music, and the camera will be on still. Thank you again for joining us. It's so nice to see all of you on Zoom. And again, even though you're apart, you're very much apart.
You're on Zoom? You're on Zoom? Or it's just a video?
Part of the program. Those who have come not only from here, but those who have come from far. Everything you should continue to enjoy many, many years to come. Even if it means the Toronto of everything. Thank you very much for shining the simcha. As well, it was really, when we started talking about the Siyum, I said, yeah, I told Phyllis, she's still complaining. I said, it's a small party. We didn't know, 10 to 30 people. I said 40, okay. So it turns out not only did the party grow, but all of a sudden it comes again and people are flying in from out of town. So I want to thank all those who have come in from out of town, from the various mishpachas, from the Anisfeld mishpacha, from the Banig mishpacha, from the Harav Baruch Reiss mishpacha, from the Friedman mishpacha, and a last-minute surprise, my brother from Lakewood Yarkodesh, which was a total shock. I want to really thank you all very, very much. We know what it means to fly today. As a matter of fact, I could bring you a raya of what it means to fly today. HaKavod, Henrik Ginsburg, has been on the road since 2 o'clock this afternoon. He is still in Pearson Airport. As far as I know, it's not a joke, unfortunately. He's still stuck. Hopefully he'll get here in time for the last shtickle. So thank you very, very much, all of you who have come to share in the simcha. Another public service announcement. My shviga aleh shalom was wont to give parting gifts, parting favors to people who attended at parties in her home. Matter of fact, when Phyllis was young, the way she ensured that she kept her friends was by giving away gold necklaces to people who actually stayed for her birthday party. So my wife asked, she was ingrained with the same midah, and she asked that please everyone walk away tonight with the frames for the men and the packages for the women. The boxes. Please, please, and I beg you out of the bottom of my heart, take them home with you. Now, Rabbi Sai, as you've heard, as you know, Harav Baruch Reiss has been a maskil. He's been with us all these years. He's been the koimer. Reb Boruch has been saying shiurim for 17 and a half years, close to that. Not only the everyday Amud Yomi, but week to week, Sunday to Sunday, the shiur, and alongside that came drushes in the Agudah, which continue to this day, Baruch Hashem, in Yana Diyayma, Yom Tovim, Iyun Halacha. It's been really an amazing run, a tremendous bracha. Speaking of bracha, Baruch, I really forgot to say. Baruch, Shechiyana B'Kiyana B'Kiyana L'Zman Hazeh. Now, I think everyone would agree that Baruch, Unser Baruch, has a silver tongue. Baruch has the ability to wax eloquent, to wax poetic. He has the gift of verbal communication like no other. And Baruch Hashem, the crowd in the Agudah has been zeicha to be mushba for Baruch Taka for these last 17 and a half years, but more importantly, right now, as I call him up to say his few words, few or not, basically, but nevertheless, I would like to present to Reb Boruch on behalf of the assignment. Is this working? A gift of silver to commemorate Zilber Tzing, if you excuse my Yiddish. The word pride doesn't exist, but his silver tongue, and for everything that is used, his koyach hadibur, to be behind the oil in the base matter. Baruch, please come and say a few words. Well, show him what I hope he did. Take it out. I hope he did your exercise. It's heavy. I hope he did the exercise. Silver is silver. No. Anyway, this is not only a gift to a bar, it's a gift to the Rebbitzin as well. Thank her for being there beside her husband, Yom, allowing him to do his Gavaldic work. You pass this. This. Okay, everything's good so far? Shekayach Bentzy Remarked. We just had our 42nd anniversary. It feels after this gift and after this Hagdama that we're holding by 50 already. Okay. The Kvod Achsanya over here is not just the Kvod Achsanya to the Siyum. We all know the founders, him and his Rebbitzin of the Kollel, and the one who looks after it all these years. And really a demus of somebody that leimachzik tivusel in afshe. Bentzy spoke about that the concept of the Torah was learning Torah Lishma. I think we all know Bentzy all the years. It's a musig of somebody who does what he does without any need or want for recognition or fanfare.
I can only paraphrase to Bentzy a word that his father's Rebbe, Reb Gustman, said. We know that one of the things that makes Bentzy stand out is his loyalty to the Messiah that he got from his father's Rebbe was Rav Gustman, Chafetz Chaim Yeshiva. So many years go by, and most people, it's a faint memory of where they got there, where they started from. And by him, he lives it day in, day out. So Rav Gustman, we know, he worked very, very, very hard on his shiurim. His shiurim were a sight to behold. 3 hours was shiur, and the olam sat, and the way he organized it, and the way he said it, everybody was sat spellbound for 3 hours to hear a shiur. He finished his sefer on Bava Kama, Kuntra Shiurim on Bava Kama. And he was so excited about the sefer. And a Balabas came in, and he's so excited. He said, "Look at my sefer." And Balabas said, "Okay." He says, "I'm going to give you one. I'm going to sell you one." He says, "It's $20. The Balabas took out 100, maybe he took out $200. And he put it in the Rosh Yeshiva's hands. And the Rosh Yeshiva said, "What is this?" I said, $20. He said, "Yeah, but I want." So Reb Gustman said to him, "If you want to give me what the sefer is worth, then you have to give me $1 million. I'm only charging 20, but in between 20 and million, I don't know what you're giving." That's what he said. Tell him how much he was machshavit. I think all of us, with that, and I'm trying. I don't know. I know it's not comfortable, but if we would really be marich, if we would have to be marich, what Bentzy has done and continues to do, we'd have to be here, I don't know how long, but it's not his ratzon. So what we all want to say is, like he said before, Baruch Hashem, 17 and a half years, we think back of all the different trials and nisyonis. We don't take it for granted. There were times where everyone had their kufis and everyone had their gewissas, nicht gesund, times that they weren't gesund. And somehow we pulled through, we're still here, and we're still here. And the inspiration that I have, and how could, it's a big deal for me to come, somebody like, remember Saul walking in, barely could walk. He just had a hip replacement. By a hip replacement, I was 6 weeks out. The third day after his hip replacement, he's walking into shul, coming to shul. There's no holding. The olam just keeps on coming and coming and coming and overcoming. And Baruch Hashem, the schus of the Kollel and the fact that we're here and we're able to be b'simcha and to enjoy each other, it's a bracha. As Rov used to say, I saw this in a sefer. It sounds Hasidish, and if you want to disagree, you could disagree, but it's a reliable place where I saw it. He said, a Siyum is an ace ratzin. You Messiah Mesechla. It's an ace ratzin by the Rabban Shalom. And the ace ratzin is a time that you can have brachas and you can have ashpois toivus. And he used to, and by his, when there was a Siyum, people used to go, and it was like he wasn't really into this, but people used to go to him and he used to binge on people with brachas because he held the Siyum as a time for brachas. So the Siyum is a time for brachas, and I brought the Rov. The Rov said it to Shlomo, but I brought the sefer with me because I know that in the Agudah, especially in this house, but in all the Agudah, is Yochanan. The first thing that happened, I walked in Yochanan bookstore and said, "Oh, Tiferes Shloima." His face lit up. I just made his night. Tiferes Shloima is Radomsk, right? Obviously in Radomsk they said L'David Hashem by Shachris and Meir. Anything that I don't understand about the Minhag and Agudah Radomsk. So that cats became the key word, the password for a lot of different things. And Radomsk. So the Tiferes Shloima, listen to the words that he said. The Rav said over the Gemara, but he says, why is it such a yont of the Siyum? Yoim Etovel Rabbanon. You know what the yont of the Siyum is? It says it's right before Slichas. He said, B'shas hasiyum havi ma'oyer hakoyach v'schus shel kol hatanoim v'amoyroim shenizkru b'zois ha'mesechta. Shas, all the tanoim and all the amoyroim, all the schusim midosam v'hashpois toivois sheshpiu b'limud toirosam ba'olam v'zeu yoim etovel. That's the yontif. You make a siyum, all the tanoim and all the mayrom of Shas. Also in the land, they're being mashpia toiva now. It's a schus. It's an ace rotzen. And he says, Ki ata ace l'cheneno la'oyer kol hashpois hatoivis. He said the same thing, Chodesh Elul, which is the end of the year. So it's the zman that all the hashpois toivis mikol ha'mais and toiv ha'mitzvahs. She also b'nei Yisrael kol hashana k'moy inyan siyam ha'mesechta shenis oyer oz kol ha'limid mikol ha'mesechta kein b'chodesh hazeh this oyer harachmim v'hashpois mikol mitzvahs u'mais and toivim mikol hashana. So we have a siyum HASHAS, an Elul right before we go into Yom Neiron. The hashpois, the rotzen, is moiridik, and we want to use that rotzen to be mispal, to be moidal over, mispal al osid, that everybody should find their chelik in Torah. Yeah, the Eina hat a chelik in Torah, and the same chelik nobody has, and everybody should find what works and the niche from them over the ikka to be kiveya itim l'Torah, and Mitzvah Shem will be zoicha. Everybody will make siyumim and will be zoicha. Mitzvah Shem, kuula and refuah and ashpois toivus for everyone. The mala from being a itim l'Torah, which is really what this is all about. The Kaf HaChaim that brings from a chidah. Sounds like a lumdisha concept, but when you think about it, it's moiridik. He says, you know what the vort is supposed to be kiveya zman, in the morning and at night, as I state in Shulchan Aruch. And that zman should be kavua. Zok the chidah, we know in the Gemara, kavua. That means that if you have a kviyas, even if there's a roiv the other way, your kviyas makes it 50-50. Zok the chidah, if somebody is kaveh himself for an hour in the morning, and that hour is a choik kavua every morning, the rest of the day, it's like half the day he learns. And if somebody is kaveya himself balayla, so it's like fifth kol kavua, it's like half the night he learns. And then the chidah adds, once it's mechza, we have the Gemara Rosh Hashanah, Rav Chesed, Klapi Chesed, Bert the ganze Tag, a Tag von Schluss. Hold it. That's what kviyas itim l'Torah does for a yid. Now I want to say over something that I was so nispal from. I saw Reb Hirsch Broidi was an Einkel from the Altefenkel. What was he was related? What was it? Reb Hirsch Broidi? What? Adam is Adam by Altefenkel. Hirsch Broidi Soif Yamov. Somebody said over he was an Alta Yid, and he was singing to himself the pasuk in PHYLLIS, Uzchoir es boiracho Bimei Bachuroi Secha. And he sang it with the niggin of Musa, and he sang it over again. Remember, Shlomo Melech says, the Borei Olam, Bimei Bachuroi Secha, when you're a bacher, when you're young. And he was singing this to himself, and he was maybe 90. So someone had the audacity, very curious. And he went over to me afterwards and he said, can I ask a shaila? I mean, you're singing it with such a slavus, like, Bimei Bachurosecha, like, real, it's nice to haltzach yunga, but let's be honest. The chayres beiracha, Bimei Bachurosecha, the haltzach nach habacha, listen to what appears answered him, and listen to how we have to internalize this message. And if we do it, that geholfen there. Reb Hirsch said to him like this. If you look at how old you are, say 80 years of my life passed, 70 years of my life passed, it's over. I'm done. Yeah, now I'll just do what I have to do. Then you're not a bocher anymore. But if let's say a person reaches his 80th birthday and he's looking at what am I now, biyachas, in relation to what I'll be tomorrow, what I'll be next week, what I'll be a month from now, what I'll be half a year from now. I'm younger than that. I'm not yet as old as I'm going to be tomorrow or in a week or in a month or in a year. So he said, when I sing Uschor Espoiracha Bimei Bachuroisecha, I look at myself klapi in relation to where I will be and where I will be holding a year, 2 years, 3 years from now. A younger bacher. It's not a chizuk. Mabissa Zalman used to say, doesn't understand. He said, Amol, people, no matter how old they were, they always had a shifa to grow and to steig. They understood that they have to always be oilo lamalo. They never stopped. So today he sees people, they sit back and they're content to pinch their mouth. What am I going to eat on myself? Learn a little bit. This is what's going to be ready for me. It's a mistake. Oira chayim lamalo lamaskil. If somebody is seichel, he understands, he can always strike and always go lamal. There is only one age, so we're all, we're reaching that age where we can, chas v'sholem, sit back and look at ourselves. What are we going to start? Neming zechunta, a new program, a new initiative, whatever it is. Ich kenn schon nicht. Enough already. I'll just stay and do my old same old and just stay the same. That's what we have to fight, Rabbi Isa. The Torah is zis. It gives us chayim. It gives us life. The Baal HaTurim writes, Ubacharta b'chayim in Parshas Nitzavim. Zokta b'charta b'chayim. B'chayim is 70. Zokta b'chayim, das is the ayin ponim la Torah, and that goes to 70, because Shivim Shana, that a person has lived. You make Shivim Shana, Shivim Panim L'Torah, B'charta B'chayim. This is Chayim. We can't be without Chayim. We need Chayim. Melevendach, that's our oxygen. Torah is our oxygen. Dvash v'cholov tachas l'shoinech, pasuk in Shir Hashir. It's going on Torah. Torah is nimshal with Dvash. The only time in Chumash, whenever it talks Chumash, Navi, it talks about Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Zovas, Cholov Udvash. How come here it says Dvash for Cholov, and that's Nimshal Torah, and by Eretz Yisrael it's Cholov Udvash? The Teretz, Chafetz Chaim says, and I don't remember who says it, says like this: when it comes to life, living, Cholov is much more of a necessity than honey is. person needs milk. A person grows up from when you're a child, you need milk. Milk has the nutrients for you to live. Dvash, sweet. Ganz fine, it's geschmack. Aber nicht, that's not a necessity. So cholov comes before dvash. Then succumb to Torah. Torah is avada, a necessity. But the ikar of Torah is the vaharevna, the sweetness, the geschmack. Das kommt far cholov. The Torah darf sein dvash, darf sein zis. Ob es zis, so get chiyus sa mensch. That's why it's a necessity when they learn Torah. We're finishing making a siyum, and everyone knows that a siyum is nor of tzamachna haskol. See that in the Torah. The Torah says, "Vayhi b'yoyim klois Moshe l'hakim es hamishkan." He finished building the Mishkan. Zok Rashi, it doesn't say. Don't read it klois. Finished. Read it kalo, kalos. What does it mean, kalos? Kalos, like a kala that goes to her husband by the Yankel apostle. Listen to what's going on over here. The day that you go to the chuppah, you could look at the day you go to the chuppah two ways. One way, it's the last day of my bacha's years, last day of a girl's years. It's the siyum of a tkufa of your life. But is that really what the day of the chuppah is? Not the siyum. It's the beginning of a whole new life, of a new life of a chassan v'kala. So Chazal are telling us, when Moshe finished the Mishkan, so you'd see, what is this an act of? We're making a simcha on finishing. No. Al tikri klois, don't read it finishing. Read it like a kala that's starting. A kala that's starting a new life. That's what that's what it's all about. So Rabbi Shalom should give us bracha, and I have to mention, besides the Chvayid Aksanya, like the Rov said before. First of all, you look around this room and you see everybody coming together for a siyum, and the whole yisod of a siyum is the samach, and it's ma'achad, the oil in the circle. The Rav always says, I don't know if Al Yisrael has a bigger ma'ach of all types, from Aleph to Tov, that everybody should be k'ish echad b'leiv echad, like unser Rov Shlita. And I think we all owe Mamar de Kakar Satoy for that. And the Noshim Tzidkanyos, Mara says, what's the Noshim Tzidkanyos? They wait for the husbands to come home for base marriage. Now, when you're talking about a kollel, where the yisod of the kollel is getting up early in the morning, so they don't have this. What do you mean they wait for the husbands to come up, get up, come home for base marriage? It would be more proper to say they wait for their husbands to get out of bed in the morning. That they do. That's maybe this close. It's time to get up already. But I think that what Chazal mean over here is, it's maybe a chiddush what I'm saying. Mamtinas lahem ad, till they come back from base marriage. You know, it doesn't mean time. It doesn't mean they look at the clock. When is he coming? It means every man, everybody, all of us, no matter what point where we're holding in the circle, we all need time to grow. We all need time, they say in Yiddish, to find our niche, to know where exactly what we want to do and where we fit and what our tachlis is. The tzchus of Noshim Tzidkanyos is if they understand that I have to wait till my husband finds himself. Not always does a person know from day one where they're headed. I'm going to have the patience. I'm not going to force the issue. I'm not going to press in a very, very, pressurized way. I'm Mamtina Islam. I'll wait till he finds himself. That is the schus of the Noshim Tzidkanyos. Wait, Baruch Hashem, a lot of people have found themselves through this program to the other shiurim that go on in shul. It's all creates a tremendous ruach haTorah. We made it through. We talked about our own personal trials and tribulations through the years. We actually made it through COVID, which is a nes mamish. A nes mamish. I think for a year and a half, I'm in Nyack and I'm all over the place, and every day I'm broadcast. It's like I felt like, okay, we're coming to you live and in color from Monsey, from Lakewood the next day, from Nyack, from Brooklyn. And every day I'm coming from somewhere else. And somehow we were able to hold on through such a difficult kufa. Mika Amchi Yisrael, the Eibusha Health in Taka. We should begin with a chiyus, with a geshmak, with a cheshik. When you have cheshik and geshmak, it goes a long way. And that we should be zoicha taka to dance by the Siyum of when the Eibishter will take us out of this golus, like the Rov said before, and we'll go b'mheirav yameinu, b'beis hamikdash, b'Mashiach tzidkenu, b'mheirav yameinu, amen. Oh, for keeping us alive during COVID, yeah. Yes. Shkoyach. Shkoyach.
Yes, him personally or just parts? You still coming out? Wait. I'm meeting at 10 o'clock.
Thanks for Bentzy. Chaburah Yeshiva led on the beautiful event. Unbelievable.
Did somebody say surgery?
I don't know. Stuck. Ilam, as we conclude this evening, the Damar, we're going to bench, and we're going to daven Ma'ariv. We'll have 2 million from Ma'ariv, 1 million in the Phyllis's library, and the other one out here. I just want to mention that unfortunately on the Ummah coverage, it doesn't look like he's going to make it. Thanks to our Canadian government, who we love so much. No, it's stuck. Now, Benach Ginsburg, who I was little brother, he left us for the bright lights of Monsey 17 years ago, and I think it's like he made the right decision. He's out of, I think, a little ahead of the game. I just want to tell you that Benach Ginsburg, Reb Boruch, before you leave, Baruch Lichtenstein. So busy. Before I just want to mention one thing. We had our guest of honor was the Maskil of Masechtas Brachos. We started Brachos many years ago, 18 years ago, and we still have we advertise. Assisted by Rezechet out here, Unzer of Yankel Kaufman. Now I have to tell you, Baruch, pay attention. I'm going to get to you in a minute. Right now I'm talking about Yankel. So I wanted to, Yankel is not here. He's an unbelievable person. But he told me that if he ever got stuck 2 o'clock in the morning for a 6 o'clock shiur the next day, he would call Yankel Kaufman and take him care of, not a problem. Yankel was there, required no comment. So you want to thank Yankel for the shot all the way back then. And as well, when Henech was hired away by Reb Chaim Waxman, who must have heard about all his great accomplishments in Toronto. So he hired him for his yeshiva, and he had to leave. Reb Boruch Reiss took over his shiur at that time as well for, I know, at least a few months. Not sure. I want to thank Reb Boruch as well for being part of the program. Of course, Reb Boruch and Yankel both have continued to become literally extremely crucial parts of the quilt that is the Hamish of Toronto today, Yeshiva of Toronto today. Sorry? It all started from Amud Yomi. So we all, Amud Yomi wants a piece of the action. Now, Reb Israel is not here. So I can, if I may, just to be fair to Reb, he flew in from New York to be here. I want to say over one anecdote about Reb himself, which I want to leave you with tonight because it's a lesson in the Avodah Sachinuch. He's a very, very successful magid shiur by Reb Chaim Waxman. I get a call last year from my son Chaim. He says, we had a problem this week. So this fellow came in. He's looking for a bonus job, we think, and he profited over Shabbos. He was absolutely amazing. And we ran Motzei Shabbos to Henry Ginsburg and said, sign on the dotted line, Rabbi Henry, we want you as I wrote. So Henry said, not so fast, guys. I have to, of course, fast started. Not sure. I came, but so he's a Chassidish, he wears a shtreimel, nevertheless, his uncle, Reb Meir Stern. He went to Reb Meir Stern. So Henry told me this last week because he turned the job down. So Reb tells me, and it's not like he didn't need the money, and it's not like he wasn't dying to be a Rav. He went to Reb Meir Stern. Meir Stern said, listen, Henry, you're a mechanech. Take the job as Rav. I can't argue with you. It's a beautiful show. But if you're asking me what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from a Rebbe, you're a Rebbe and a Masifta, you're asking what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants, I'll tell you what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. The Rebbeinu Shalom would prefer that you stay on strictly as a Rebbe. Then I turned around, told the Oilim in that little shul in Monsey, guys, sayonara, this is not my place. This is Reb Henech, he's not here. I just wanted to say over the little anecdote. We're going to bench. After benching, we're going to have 2 minyan from Arif, as I said. And again, I wanted to thank the Oilam, the Unka Delibi, for being part of this simcha. I feel that it's a simcha that it's not only, it's a simcha for the Kehillah. It's a simcha for us, of course, those who are assignment. It's a simcha for the shul. But I believe this is a simcha for God's Toronto. It's important that God's Toronto understands that bottom line is all about Limud Torah. That's why we're here. That's what we hope, what we aspire to be in the Mitzvah Shem. Like I said, we should be zeichet to see sitting here. If not, in the hair of the Gula, we should like to be sitting here for the next Siyum 17 and a half years from now. Shabbat. Ask George for the one.
Share Melon.
Sorry, just one more last public service announcement. We're going to sing before benching Sept David. Hershel, and I also was remiss, I did not mention that included in the, first of all, amongst the list of assignment of those who helped the Baruch with giving the shiur is our very own Reb Shia S. Lenny gave the shiur too along the way. Saul is not here, so I really shouldn't mention it. But nevertheless, we're reciting and showing his opening. Our very own chaburah. You take out.
Hershel Polter.
The composer. Before he had, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. I don't know about on key, but what? Oh, good. These are my diamond.
You had. Oh, that's. Wow. Thank you.
Gonna put it in a bowl.
It's beautiful. Instead, the rope was beginning. He just wasn't able to. We have to get him a different time. We have to get him remote. If just would have called, I would have beamed him in. This phone doesn't work. For all those on Zoom, we did miss Reb Ginsburg, who was supposed to be speaking. He's stuck at the airport. I want to thank all of you for coming in. We're going to close the room.